Here, straight up at 10, we are seeing a pursuit. This is on Mulholland Drive, Skyfox overhead. This is in the Beverly Glen area. This involving a suspected hit-and-run driver right here. So authorities on the watch of this pickup truck. It seems like right there, there's a black and white right behind several of them. And Stu, up in Skyfox, what are you hearing and seeing?
Well, you know, you were calling it a pursuit. It's definitely a failure to yield. When you say the word pursuit, when I hear the word pursuit, I'm thinking fast moving, ripping around corners, doing dangerous things. This vehicle moving very, very slowly. LAPD, this happened in the Hollywood area, and you are very correct. They are saying that it is a possible hit and run, or that's what the original want for the pull over the vehicle. When you take a look at the front of that Toyota, you can actually see some damage right there. So that probably is part of that hit and run situation. Why is this person running? Why is it going so slow? Well, those are the big questions, aren't they? Now, he made its way up Laurel Canyon. At some points, apparently, quote unquote, picking up speed, but we never heard that speed. So, I mean, if he's going maybe what? Let's bring up that speedometer right now. If he's going 20 and he picked up speed, maybe he was going 30 at some point, but very slow moving. LAPD, a number of officers behind him. Now, I'm listening in. They are basically trying to bring this to an end very peacefully and sanely. They've got their bag of tricks. They were trying to set up spike strips in certain locations, but he was on Laurel Canyon. They were giving the heads up to the North Hollywood division of LAPD, saying, "Hey, he's coming your way. Let's get our ducks in a row," as it would be. But apparently, you see it right there. He made that turn onto Mulholland Drive. Then that changed everything. You saw a little bit of that speed increase right there. Maybe that's what they were talking about earlier on. As far as other traffic, other cars on the roadway, right now, Mulholland seems to be pretty peaceful. And this driver of this damaged Toyota pickup truck driving very slowly. We always kind of, want to put a little of interest into these pursuits. But you know what? These things can change up very quickly. And the reason why this person didn't stop, that is still unknown to us. So there might be something else going on right there. Right now, though, LAPD, they are taking this very seriously. They're going to try to set up a way to stop this vehicle. And of course, pit maneuver, yeah, maybe not, because of the fact that they're in the canyons.
Like, is this vehicle disabled? Is that why it's going so slowly? It just looks so odd.
Yeah, very odd indeed, and that could be part of it. Maybe there's something inside that vehicle that puts it, like I know some vehicles go into safe mode when things aren't working properly, and it's just, or limp mode as they would call it. But that minor damage on that front, I don't know. I just can't really say. I was thinking maybe the driver is inebriated in some way, where they just or just not knowing exactly what's going on and just kind of meandering through this on a drive. But LAPD, they've got their lights and sirens on. They've got they're making it known that they're behind this driver. But the fact that this vehicle moving so slowly, you're right, it is very odd indeed. And other cars, you can see them passing, so they're not blocking off any of the roads out here. But the traffic behind the pursuit, which is also pretty odd in itself, is really starting to build because of that slow-moving vehicle. How are they going to bring it to an end safely? Well, the spike strips might have been a good idea, but the pit maneuver right now on Mulholland Drive, probably not, just because they're afraid that vehicle might go over the side. And again, I've said this in the past, and it is very true. Law enforcement, LAPD, they are concerned about the safety of the suspect as well as anybody else that's around that vehicle, including themselves.
It's definitely an unusual one. I feel like we say that often with some of these pursuits, but really I don't remember seeing anything like this in the past. I don't know, I'm sorry I missed it if you mentioned this, but I was thinking almost, what if, I don't know, the vehicle is short on gas too? That could be why this individual is driving so slowly, or maybe just unfamiliar with. I saw a little shake there. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? And I have a feeling law enforcement, they're in that same boat. They're not really sure what they're dealing with right now. And that's one of the reasons why they're being very cautious in making any kind of aggressive moves to bring this to an end. You know, that kind of that jerk of the wheel, that brings me back to my thought, maybe there's something up with the driver. Look, we're going across the lines there, but then like, oh, wait a minute. You know, maybe it's sleep apnea. You know, there could be so many things that's going on with that driver. But right now, the biggest concern is that driver's still continuing to move. Law enforcement, they want to bring it to a stop. And that erratic driving, that could be a problem for sure. You don't want to see this person just meander off the side of the road and wind up down an embankment, possibly injuring themselves. Or who knows, that vehicle could land in somebody's backyard or on a home. So right now, LAPD taking it very seriously. They are trying to set up maybe some spike strips up ahead, but I don't see them as of yet. There might be somebody right there, but you know, yes, they have that spike strips already. So we'll see what happens. He's got a moment or two till he gets there, but if this person is, you know, inebriated or has some sort of issue with them, they might not be able to see that spike strip, and this actually might be a very functional way to bring this to an end. We'll see here in just a few moments, but again, that kind of erratic driving, that's dangerous for that law enforcement officer that has to pull those spike strips across the road.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
okay.
It worked. Or
there he goes.
Yep,
over
definitely
the
worked.
strip.
Okay.
And you never know, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
Stu, the state of mind of these drivers when we follow things like this, and why they're doing the things they're doing, where they're going. And clearly this is a case, another example of how different, you know, each kind of case is, right?
it makes me nervous with the traffic going the opposite way. I wish they had blocked off that road, you know?
Yeah, thankfully he's not passing the double lines at this point right now, but certainly feeling the impact of the spike strip on that tire. As you could see, it was deflating in your shot, Stu, as you pushed into that front tire, but hopefully it's losing air at a quick rate of speed, so that maybe this can be put to an end relatively shortly.
Yeah, that's the design for the spike strips, and it looks like it is just the driver's side that actually got taken out. They don't want those tires to deflate like explosively. Like when you watch old television shows and they run over a spike strip, there's number 2. So he's going to have plenty of flat tires here in just a few moments. They don't want those tires to just kind of rip apart and explode. They want that air to kind of escape very slowly, and that's the plan. And those things are also designed for safety, because a rapidly deflating tire could create a problem for that driver. When it goes down slow like that, they know that tire is going flat. They can react, but you are so right about the traffic on the other side of the road. Mm-hmm. Now he's driving around maybe on 4 flat tires. We've seen him meander close to that line more than one time. We just don't know, but slow speeds right now, very, very positive.
And it's not like what you see in the movies. You would think, oh, this driver's driving slowly. The police can just pull up in front and stop the car and everything will be fine. But no, you don't know the state of mind of the driver. You don't know if they're, if they have a weapon or what's inside that car.
Right.
So you just can't. It's not like what you see in the movies.
Definitely not what you see in the movies at all. You don't see the officers getting up close and one of them sitting on the hood, jumping into the back of the pickup truck. That stuff, that is definitely for the movies. But those big tires, this is going to be creating a problem too. You see how those high sidewalls, they're creating a lot of cushion and a lot of movement, and then add that in with that driver's kind of meandering back and forth. That truck is just kind of wobbling right now as it's making its way down the Coldwater Canyon, and there is a lot of traffic. Now, the only positive here is that if it does wander across and bump into another car, the word bump, not crash, well, technically I guess it is a crash, but it wouldn't be going very fast, and that would be safe for the other person. Of course, we don't want to see any property damage as well. That vehicle definitely going slower and slower out here, but that driver just continues to push it and trying to keep away from LAPD. it's a fruitless effort, I can tell you that, because eventually this person is going to go into custody. There's the LAPD helicopter over it, but they've got a number of officers right there, and you saw the coordination with the officers on the ground. They've hit it with 2 spike strips, so we know at least 2 tires have gone flat, and that truck continues to just move along down Coldwater Canyon right now, 5 miles an hour. Woo! It's on fire.
Goodness. Yeah, and because of the fact that it's only just a 1-lane street going down, it was more convenient for police officers to deploy the spike strip to make sure it was going to catch, because it wasn't a wide road where they had to throw it across multiple lanes of traffic. So that's certainly a good thing, and it shows it works.
I don't know. I feel as though, has it slowed down at all? It seems like he's just going the same rate of speed. I do see the police cruiser getting closer from the back.
The tires are deflating, though.
Definitely tires are deflating, and I have a feeling that if he gets out of the canyons and we get down to, say, Ventura Boulevard, Van Nuys, any one of those streets where we're not in a canyon, we don't have other vehicles very close by, they may attempt to do that pit maneuver. Will it bring it to an end? I just don't know. That driver just continues to just drive. Even though we're moving very, very slowly, they are not stopping, and LAPD, he's getting really close right there. That maybe that's that command presence. He's like, hey, look, we are right here. Just stop, man.
Now speeding.
Nope, there we go. And there you go. Yep, here, look at that. Here we go. This might be the pit right there. Oh. Well,
no.
Quite a bit of damage to the pickup truck. I can tell you those taillights aren't cheap, and he's probably going to try it again right there. But, yep, okay. All right. Quick with the doors. But it's not enough. And that's what I was thinking, too. The driver, he doesn't seem to really, quote-unquote, care, or she.
Very
doesn't
wobbly.
seem to care. Yep. Very wobbly, and we've done 2 pit maneuvers, but it hasn't brought this thing to a stop. They're going to have to kind of spin this thing completely around to get it to really come to a stop. But at these slow speeds, I just don't think they're going to be able to do it. But, if anybody can, it's our LAPD.
And you really feel for the drivers on the other side of the lane that were caught right there, that one red vehicle and the black one there, a white one as well.
They don't know what to do.
Exactly, and they want to try to get out of the way, but there's nowhere else to go in those narrow canyon roads that are just 1 lane each direction right there, and then all of a sudden you have the end of a pursuit possibly happening right in front of you. Oh, and gosh, it's really wobbly and disabled, this pickup at this point. Look at the rims.
The driver is just determined, though, just pushing, giving it his or her all to the very last
there we go.
moment.
Hopefully this is it.
Well, boom! I wasn't expecting that. Got him again right there, kind of wedged him into place. Maybe they were just trying to get home. It looked like they purposely pulled into this driveway. Now, LAPD, they might have different information, and again, we can't be too playful because look at these officers. I see 1 less than lethal. Everybody else has their weapons out, and they are very cautious. This driver, we've seen it, not stopping, and that vehicle still considered to be a lethal weapon and still trying to drive. Now they've really got it wedged in there. I can't imagine that driver being able to get out of that type of situation. So right now they've got that vehicle surrounded, but those tinted windows, that's going to be a problem as well. Law enforcement, I'm sure they're making calls trying to tell that driver, come out of that vehicle, put your hands up, stop the vehicle, throw the keys out, all the things. But right now, it is more of a standoff out here, and again, this is happening on Coldwater Canyon, Studio City area, so I'm sure the Canyon Road is going to be closed in both directions.
And you see them pretty much all surrounded now with that extra vehicle at the top of your screen right there, really crowding that pickup in. There's nowhere for him to go. Hopefully he doesn't make a dangerous move, backing up or trying to get out.
He is trying.
He's trying to back up?
He is trying.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's trying. Look at the rear wheel.
I mean,
he's trying to get it, trying to move it out of the way. That type of activity is not what law enforcement want to see. That is very aggressive still, even though it was very slow moving. And officers are putting themselves in harm's way. We don't want to see this to escalate more than what it's got. Now, the less than lethal, he might be deploying it right in a moment or two, but I think they just want to break the windows. That's pretty much what they want to do right now. They might have already did a shot.
There it is.
So they're shooting the beanbags. They just want to break the window and, again, maybe get a better look at the driver, get a better feel. Like, is this person completely inebriated? Are they in some sort of emotional state? And also possibly just start to communicate a little better with that driver. But clearly, this person
still trying to get away. I mean, this behavior is now. Oh, what was that? Something came out of the.
That was there's more beanbags being deployed, and it also kind of gives you a feel that how dangerous those beanbags are. I mean, it did take off the trim, but it didn't break the window. So the back they keep hitting, and the reason why it's not collapsing is because of the tint. So they're going to have to hit that more than a couple of times before that window falls in and they're able to actually see inside. But you know what? LAPD, they've got the time, and I'm sure they've got extra beanbags, and they'll just keep doing this until they're able to break those windows and be able to communicate with that driver.
But look at the tire, still spinning, trying to back up. This driver trying to make a move, clearly, you know.
Well, obviously, the state of mind is, something is going on here, clearly, because when you're boxed in like this and it's come to this point, behaving this way is only escalating the situation. And so, therefore, you're thinking, well, this person feels as though they have nothing to lose. And the most dangerous people often in these circumstances are people who feel that way because they're willing to do all kinds of things that are just not safe for themselves or the people around them. This is just one of those bizarre pursuits that we're watching unfold before us.
And you wonder about the homeowner there, or the property that vehicle's wedged up upon. You really feel for, oh, wow, a couple of homes and properties. You don't know how many people living there. Hopefully they're okay or inside, sheltering in place. But this is certainly not the situation you want on your driveway with clearly somebody.
I don't even know if they know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm sure they hear all that going on.
They're probably trying to communicate with this driver. Obviously, we can't hear, but that's definitely something that they're doing at this time, asking them to exit the vehicle. Usually that's how it goes. We also don't know, or do we, how many people are in that car?
Well, we know for a fact there's a driver.
Well, yes.
That's about all we can really say for sure right now. I haven't heard them talk about the number of occupants. Law enforcement seem to be busy on getting the spike strips in the right place to try to bring this thing to an end. Some of those officers taking some chances there, getting into different positions, trying to see probably the same thing. Is that driver is sitting up? Is that driver inebriated? Is this person maybe in some kind of overly emotional state, and that's why this is going on? It definitely seems like they reversed the direction. Now it seems like the truck is trying to go forward. For a while there it was going backwards, but now it's going back again. So he's definitely, or the driver definitely trying to continue on. But again, what kind of state of mind do you have to be in where you have looking at this situation and continuing to try? There's something else going on here for sure. And those very, very slow speeds, I just have a feeling that this is going to be some sort of very emotional or maybe some sort of drug-induced type of situation for that driver. LAPD, though, they have to deal with this, and they have to deal with it in a way where their officers don't get hurt and they don't put that suspect in a situation where they might get hurt. So right now, this vehicle is still kind of wedged up in there. The engine definitely not off. And the LAPD, they're kind of tasked with how do we get that driver out safely and bring this to an end.
And obviously causing a lot of traffic right there on Coldwater, because now you have both lanes of traffic closed in the narrow canyon road right there, which is a big thoroughfare for people trying to get in and out of the area, across the mountain perhaps. You have frustrated drivers. I think that's a reporter. But making that turn, right? Going back down on the valley side, I believe.
Traffic is building.
Look at that traffic. I mean, I wish I could tell everybody, turn around, don't go that way, because this is going to be a situation that's going to last for a while at least. And this is not something you want to deal with on a Friday as we approach lunch hour in a couple hours coming up.
Definitely, and those a lot of those people, you're correct. One of those, I think that's an actual stringer down there making their way up to get video from the ground. Other people making U-turns to get out of there. But you're right. They have no way of knowing what's going on. And Coldwater, Laurel, all these canyon roads, very, very busy, very popular. And you see that traffic really starting to back up. Even if it came to an end this very second and the driver came out, I would venture to say they wouldn't have the roadway open for another 30, maybe 40 minutes, if not longer. So, all those folks, they're going to have to make those U-turns. Luckily, they're able to do that safely. It isn't like this is a one-way road, so they'll be able to turn around and head back the other way. There are plenty of ways around this, but it's, making that decision, making that turn, and then, of course, law enforcement, they've got the real issue right now. That driver behind the wheel of that pickup truck, that little failure to yield, at least that rear wheel has stopped moving. I don't know if the driver has given up or maybe the truck has given up, but right now we're seeing a little less action there, and law enforcement, might have to wait this one out. So we'll wait and see ourselves.
Yeah, it certainly looks like they're having, the position where they're relaxed, they're waiting it out, they're just waiting. I mean, obviously, the threat of the vehicle, that pickup trying to reverse or go forward is gone because you don't see those tires moving, and so they're kind of in a relaxed position right now, just waiting it out. Like you said, the advantage is on their side.
Definitely, the law enforcement has the advantage for definitely with time. That vehicle, I just can't see it making its way out of there. We've seen stranger things in the past. But right now, it's more of a wait and see. And, we haven't seen any kind of four-wheel drive action. So I really can't, I just venture to say that vehicle is this is where it's going to come to an end. Hopefully it comes to an end very peacefully.
Yeah, we certainly hope so for the law enforcement, not to get injured and that this whole situation does end peacefully. But clearly, again, who knows when this will be over and when that canyon road will open up.
Definitely. Right now, it's a lot of wait and see. I'm going to venture to, as soon as I take the camera off of it, something dramatic's going to happen. But you can see a lot of these vehicles. Clearly, we know these are all the vehicles that have been turning around. Hopefully, they'll be able to tell some of the other people coming back up. I've been in situations like that where people coming down the mountain have been like, "Hey, it's blocked. Turn around."
Yeah.
So maybe that's going on there as well. But a lot of these, like this guy, it's like, what are you thinking? Everybody's turning around, going the other way. But you think you're going to be able to get around the corner. Either that or maybe they're just not aware of what, their situation around them. But LAPD, they're very aware of that situation that's going on and how to bring this to an end safely. They're still working on it, but it seems that, breaking those windows didn't seem to be that easy, even with the less than lethal, the beanbags. So talking to that driver, communicating safely, being able to see what that driver's doing, those things are very important to those officers on the ground. And right now, they're still unable to do any of those things.
And at this point, I'm just wondering about the people who live right there. If they're informed or aware to not come outside, maybe they're gone for the day. Obviously, it's past 10 o'clock on a work day. But it's just a very bizarre situation. And I'm just baffled by the fact that this individual keeps attempting to reverse or go forward, where they're pretty much stuck in that position.
Yeah, that vehicle's, like I said, not going anywhere unless something dramatically changes in the next couple of minutes. I'm just surprised they haven't opened the door and at least tried to start communicating with the officers and say, hey, if it's an emotional type of situation, a little bit of time and it will make a lot of difference. And I'm just really curious. I'm trying to keep an eye on that mirror. If that mirror moves, that means that door is going to open up. Mm-hmm. And also, it seems like it's a newer vehicle. You have the registration tag in the window.
Yeah, late model pickup right there.
PD's asking us for our help. Yeah, then they're trying to see through the windshield, and it's very tinted. It's very, very dark down there. Yeah, maybe if we move around a little bit, we might be able to see a little bit better. But at this point, it is so dark in that vehicle, we cannot see inside.
Yeah, and a lot of people wonder, when something like this happens in their community, why there aren't officers telling other residents who are driving nearby, hey, turn around or have a checkpoint. They are so busy dealing with the situation and trying to put this to an end that it's not easy to get the resources out there and deploy to help manage the traffic at this very second. So that's why a lot of times you have to tune into us and watch us, or just get the message from a friend or a fellow driver in the area who's saying, hey, turn around, cold water is blocked right now. We don't know when this situation is going to end. So clearly, in a lot of situations, you wish you had that information. You wish there were police kind of telling you this is what's going on up the hill or down the hill. So maybe you want to be aware, but in this case, what matters the most, the first priority here is to get this under control, get that driver out. And of course, as you mentioned, Stu, they're asking you for a view of the driver, and we can't even see because it's so tinted.
It is very tinted, and also law enforcement, they are making those moves. I understand that they're going to start getting some traffic control out there, but more importantly, we hear that they maybe or probably have actually started talking about bringing SWAT over here or metro units, depending upon which one is going to be closer. But they're already starting to escalate that situation, knowing that that driver has a little bit of an advantage right now with those tinted windows, and of course, they can't communicate with them. So they're moving their chess pieces up. Hopefully that driver is just, maybe passed out behind the wheel, or if it is an emotional state, maybe starting to calm down, a little less adrenaline, a little bit more just calm, and maybe starting to rethink what's going on, because the reality is the simplest answer is just open the door, do as you're told, go into custody. But again, sometimes those simple things are really hard to comprehend.
Now it looks like I haven't seen any movement for a while, right? Unless I missed it. So you're wondering what is happening inside. What is going on inside of that vehicle? It is just one of the most tinted windows that we've dealt with, so you can't even see motion. The motion I see is just a reflection from the trees there. So it's adding a shroud of mystery to it all and complicating the situation, because you really can't tell what's going on, and we have no idea how long we're just going to hang on this shot, and they're just going to wait.
You just don't know the mindset of the driver inside, the emotional state, as you've been mentioning, Stu, what their motivation is, what they're dealing with, what the circumstances are inside. If the person's talking to somebody even, on the phone, sometimes that's the case as well. And sometimes they want to get somebody who knows this driver to, hey, give him a call and see what's going on when people watch the situation happening on TV or following this pursuit as we have. So it's a long process, and it's not an easy one, because nobody's a mind reader. Nobody knows the intent of this person, and clearly they're just waiting it out, as you mentioned, Stu. The police definitely have the upper hand.
Definitely have the upper hand right now, and just being clear, like for anybody that's watching that might be the armchair officers, that guy right there that has green on there, that's pretty much, I would venture to say, a high-powered pellet gun. And they still are trying to figure out a way to break those windows or break the glass so that they can talk to that driver. When we do really get tight on there, you can kind of see some of those pellet holes in that window. So the glass is broken, but that heavy tint is not allowing that glass to fall, and that's part of the problem. I'm not sure if they've done the same thing on the other side of the vehicle. We didn't see any of them, and maybe they're not doing it because they don't want to agitate the driver. If they, like the window breaking next to them, that might create something that scare the driver and create a situation where the driver does a reactive move that would escalate into something else. So right now they're just concentrating on this side. They brought out the ballistic shield, that one officer right there. He just put it down, but you can see them. They're talking. We're watching their body language. That's the best we can do up here in Skyfox. We can't hear what they're saying, but they're definitely trying to put together a plan to figure out how to just talk to them. Just talk to that person and or see that person. That's really what they're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely, Stu. It's just a waiting game right now.
Most definitely.
Stu, why
As
don't
far
you,
as the roadway goes, let's
yeah, I
take
want
a
to
peek.
get a check on that, on the road there. Looks like they are.
They got vehicles still, still making U-turns right there. That's going to be the westbound off of. No, I'm sorry, that's southbound Coldwater. There's a lot of folks still. They haven't really gotten a word, and they're starting to make some U-turns. You got one LAPD unit basically just saying, "Hey, you can't come this way." So possibly a lot of these folks are going to be making U-turns. Let's see about the northbound side. You still got a lot of traffic. You got a lot of traffic down there, and you got people there. That's not an officer. That's a guy on a motorcycle, basically parked the bike and is waiting. So I don't know how long they're going to wait. Who knows? But you can see a lot of these folks are already frustrated, making that U-turn. That's the smartest thing to do. Get out of there as quick as possible. And it's not because of the danger. It's more because this is going to be here for quite some time. And you just don't want to sit there on that roadway and wait when you could have easily gotten to wherever you need to be just by making a U-turn.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know how long the stand-up is going to last until, and clearly as we get later into the afternoon, perhaps into the lunch hour, a lot of people using Coldwater Canyon as a thoroughfare throughout the area, and it is a very well-traveled path. So now, thankfully, there is some traffic operations helping the situation because it is backed up.
Ma'am. Very backed up, and you keep mentioning lunch. You're trying to make me hungry, but a lot of these folks, there's a lot of great places to eat off of Ventura Boulevard. Just make these guys on this side of it, all they got to do is make that U-turn and get down that way. The other side, it's a little bit more of a drive because, and you can see it, LAPD's pretty much doing a good job out there. They've been clearing it out, that one unit. You know what? He might not be in the mix of the action, but he's more helpful than a lot of them. As he's just kind of telling everybody, hey, you got to make that U-turn, get out. You're not going to be able to get through. They need to get well, that's the problem, I guess. They can't really get anybody on this side of it because it would be one of these officers, and these guys right now pretty busy, as I would say. So maybe they're going to get somebody on the lower side, someone off of Ventura, and drive up Coldwater and just start telling people, hey, you got to make a U-turn. You're not getting through.
Of all the places that this came to an end, one of the most inconvenient roads.
Oh, definitely. And I'm curious to see if this is just a random spot, or was he trying to make his way into the driveway, or what? And you were mentioning earlier about the folks that live here. This home does definitely have a couple of vehicles in the driveway. I haven't seen any residents out walking around. This one, no vehicles, but I'm sure they've got a spacious garage with a home up here on the hillside. But right now, I would venture to say that anybody that's in any of these homes right there, they're kind of aware of what's going on. They're probably in a safe space and looking out the window and probably have a better view of what's going on as well. Anybody in this house, they might be able to see in through that window, but we can't, and it's frustrating for me as well. And you know what? All we have to do is see. The law enforcement, they need to see just to get a better feel with what they're dealing with.
You really wonder if the driver inside that vehicle is taking a nap or what that driver is doing, passed out. You don't know the state of mind, and clearly this is a waiting game, as you were mentioning, Stu, but also people in the neighborhood, I'm sure they're on a group chat. Maybe they saw on their Ring cameras, maybe they're on Nextdoor or Citizens app, and they're probably conveying the message that this is going on right in front of their home.
Yeah, you brought up you touched on a very great point. It's like, also, we don't know the condition of that driver. We're kind of just throwing things out there, but you know what? Maybe it's a medical issue. Maybe that person is actually in need of medical help right now, and they're unable to help this person because they don't know. They can't see this person. They don't know if they have a handgun. Maybe it was some sort of medical thing, and now that person, like you said, passed out, and this could turn into something else. And if they would have just opened the door, if they would have just made contact, if they would have done something behind that wheel, then this wouldn't be happening. But right now, like you said, it's more of a standoff. It's more of a wait and see. And LAPD, they have made that call. And as soon as they get here, depending upon where they're starting from, even even if SWAT rolls in right now, they're not jumping out of the truck and tackling the vehicle. They're going to have to sit here. They're going to make a plan. They're going to implement the plan. They're going to check it. They're going to make sure the plan's going to work. So it's going to be some time, and this is going to be going on until that driver either gives up or they're able to possibly talk him into just coming out. But if it comes down to SWAT, it's going to take some time for them to try to figure out how they're going to make this happen.
Well, how long, I'm just throwing this out there, the thought. I know you don't have an answer. How long could this possibly go on for? There has to be a point where, if nothing's happening, they're going to have to make something happen.
Yes. Oh, definitely. And, when SWAT shows up, they've got a different arsenal. Those are specially trained officers. They, of course, all the officers are trained to handle situations. But a standoff like this, well, they got to bring in the pros, and the pros in this case are going to be either Metro or SWAT, and they're going to come in here and they're going to look this over. They might have some high-tech tools that the patrol officers don't have, and they'll be able to get a better feel with what they're dealing with inside that truck. Or they might just walk up, basically break that window, and then it's going to start a conversation.
Yeah, that's right. There's a bunch of tactics that these trained professionals know and are ready to perform. It's just the waiting game right now, and sometimes that is more the advantage in certain cases because they don't know what they're dealing with, and they'll just wait it out. But this is clearly one of the most stubborn drivers that we've seen, at least in the past few weeks as we've been covering situations like this. A lot of times you see finally the driver will give up and come out, which is what we really want to see. But in this case, certainly a different situation.
Yeah, definitely a frustrating situation for everybody involved, and especially a lot of those drivers that were on cold water this morning and that are unable to get to where they need to be or have been inconvenienced to have to find their way around it. You got to give it props to LAPD, though. They did get the spike strips in place. They got those tires out pretty quick and very safely. And the pit maneuvers, those are not as easy as you and I might think, and especially, oddly enough, when those vehicles go slow like that, that actually works against the officer for those getting that vehicle to spin around. So, because there's no forward momentum. But as it stands right now, this driver looked like they were trying to turn into the driveway and then basically wedged themselves up against the hedges. But what's going on inside there, we can't see it. LAPD can't see it, and that's the reason why it's become this waiting game.
So what, in circumstances where they are trying to communicate with someone who's inside barricaded, whether it is a vehicle or a home, aside from speaking on a loudspeaker and trying to get their attention and trying to communicate, at what point do they attempt to call them? Do you know how that works?
Oh, that one, I wouldn't be privy to those kind of protocols at all, but I do know that they have made the call. There's been a call out for SWAT, so they are en route. Where they are, how long it's going to be for them to get here, that type of information, I haven't heard on the scanner. Sometimes they give an ETA, but that's the other thing too. It's like Wonder Team assemble. They have to make sure that all their guys are here. It isn't like they come in one truck like the fire department. So depending upon where these officers are and their ETA to this location, then they've all got to get together. Like I said, they've got to make it. This is going to go on for a while, unless that driver decides like, hey, I'm just going to give up now. But it doesn't seem like that's happening. I think it's hopeful or wishful thinking. I keep seeing something going on over there, and I'm kind of hoping that maybe the window went down or something. But it hasn't happened, and I'm kind of poking fun at it. Is maybe he just got the windows tinted, and they told him don't roll down the windows. But I don't think that's the issue right now. The issue right now is that driver is either obstinate or just incapacitated, and probably by their own hand.
Yeah, that is certainly a thought that is crossing people's minds as this watch this. Now that we don't even see any attempts being made to reverse or drive forward, which was ridiculous to begin with, but now not seeing any motion or activity coming from that vehicle. So your mind starts to wonder what is happening or what happened inside of that truck.
Yeah, definitely. And, these officers, it was a very slow speed pursuit, but still they were in pursuit. And now they're all just kind of, again, they've got a number of them out here. But the thing is, it's like you just don't know. Maybe this person does have a gun in there. And, maybe you can approach with that shield and try to open a door. Maybe you can approach with the vehicle and try to break out that window. But, these officers, they have to answer to their superiors as well. And if it's one of those things. If one of their bosses says, that was dangerous, now you're in trouble, that's what's going on down there. So they have to be cautious. They have to play by their own rules. And right now their rules are maybe changing. I'm seeing some gloves being put on, and I'm seeing seeing these guys kind of lining up. So maybe they're going to make some sort of attempt to approach that vehicle.
Yeah, maybe
and if that happens, they're going to bring it to an end quickly. It looks like they're talking to this guy. He's the guy with the shield. You can see it. So we're going to be here pretty much unless it goes longer than 2 hours.
Yeah.
But I am just as curious as you are. I can guarantee it.
We want to remind people how this all started, because we started the 10 o'clock hour breaking into our coverage with this pursuit that started on Mulholland in the Beverly Glen area. Police were in pursuit of the slow driving late model gray pickup truck that you see there wedged. And this is how it ended up after this driver was initially followed because of the failure to yield, possibly involved in a hit and run, and then slowly making their way to this area of Coldwater Canyon. And then after 2 deployments of successful spike strips that were deployed from the police department, those tires were deflated, and the driver did not give up though, but ultimately wedged right in here. And as police officers surrounded this vehicle, as we're watching right here, that driver continued to try to reverse into those cruisers. So we were watching that for quite some time. But again, reminding people that we can't see inside the vehicle in that pickup because of the severe tint that's on. We did see officers use non-lethal force to try to break the window, the back window there. You can see that it's shattered, but still no movement from inside the cab of the,
door's opening.
The door's opening. Here we go. Let's see what's happening.
Door's opening. There we go. There we go. Female driver. And back inside. Well, we at least know that it isn't a medical issue. That we can cross that off the list. But definitely just came out, made an appearance, and then went back inside the vehicle. So, now it's now things have changed up a little bit. Now, but still the question is that person armed?
Right.
But this kind of changes it up. Maybe the officers that are here will make an attempt to take her into custody. But it's a good thing to see that person get out of the vehicle. And clearly you can see that, maybe not in the best frame of mind as she got out, but got out, did a little jig there, and probably said a couple of things, and then got back inside the pickup truck. But law enforcement, you can see it. I see it is a little bit different stance with the officers, which is good. But clearly, they still, there's still always those possibilities, and you don't want to be on the wrong side of that possibility.
Well, maybe they'll change up the tactics and the strategy, knowing who they're dealing with, what they're dealing with in terms of the mental state, whatever she yelled at them or said to them, they'll take that into consideration. And obviously they know it's not a medical condition, as you mentioned. She's well able to walk out of that vehicle on her own. So they know, and they gathered a lot of information just on that appearance, Stu.
Definitely, and still, you can see like that one officer there. I was keeping an eye on her. She had her weapon drawn and ready for the entire time. I got to give officers props. A lot of times I watch these standoff situations and just think to myself, I couldn't stand or be in that position for half an hour, maybe more. But you can see a little bit more relaxed stance with the officers, which is a good thing. What they're going to do now, still, I don't know. They may try to go over there. I haven't seen any kind of baton or anything come out that they might use to clear out the tint, the broken window, so they can look inside. And also, if she locks the doors, that's going to be a hindrance as well. So right now, still a standoff, but a little bit less tense for sure.
I'm actually wondering what prompted that individual. I mean, again, questions we're just thinking out loud to, at that moment, come out. Curious to know what was said, and very risky, by the way, to do that, to come out that way, yell whatever she yelled, and then jump back into the vehicle. Like, clearly, it once again confirms to us that there's something going on here that's might have to do with a mental health concern or some kind of under the influence of something, because that behavior, not only is it dangerous, but it's very reckless.
Very reckless, very emotional, probably not very well thought out. Getting a little information that now we're hearing maybe, I'm doing the air quotes, maybe that vehicle is an unreported stolen. So possibly that driver is not the person that's registered to the car. So again, is it stolen? Is it some sort of relationship, like somebody took the vehicle without permission? All that, maybe we'll find out. But right now, the big concern is just getting that person out of the car and handcuffs on, and then put into the back of one of these police cars and clear that roadway. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen anytime very quickly. But again, officers, at least the tension has lessened. And we're still waiting on SWAT. Like I said, they have been called. When they're going to get here, that's another question. But right now, Coldwater closed in both directions. The main ones would be between Mulholland and Ventura Boulevard.
Yeah, it's a major thoroughfare for people traveling back and forth in that community. And clearly, this has been going on for 45 minutes at this point in that area. Thankfully, there's traffic officers or people making sure that they turn around and don't approach, because obviously this is going to take some time, especially if SWAT is called, but hopefully maybe they can resolve this before then, given the fact that the driver did come out to make that brief declaration to police officers, whatever she said to them, and then quickly went back inside. But she seemed irritated. She seemed like she didn't want to be bothered.
Yes.
And then went back inside to sit in that car.
Yeah, most definitely. And you always kind of wonder, it's like, if she got out and said, hey, leave me alone or whatever, it's like, law enforcement's going to be like, oh, well, she wants to be left alone, let's just all go. That's just not going to happen. So it's she's going to get the cuff, she's going to go into custody, and hopefully this will get resolved, and whatever the issues were, they'll be worked out later on. But right now, it's still a standoff. There's still a sense of danger because you just don't know. But the big problem right now is for the public because, like you said, Coldwater's closed both directions. Yes, a lot of people can be a little bit inconvenienced and just make their way over to Laurel or any of the other ways around. But as it stands right now, you've got some other vehicles. I don't even know how this guy got through it. For a minute there, I thought maybe it was one of the Metro vehicles from LAPD. But you can see right there, too, they brought the fire department out just in case it goes sideways. They'll have paramedics nearby to help out very quickly. But as it stands, it's more of a standoff than anything else happening out here. Studio City, right off of Coldwater Canyon.
I think we have Gigi right now who's going to join the conversation and talk a little bit about some information she's getting as far as how this whole thing began. Gigi, tell us where you are and fill in some of the details here, please.
Well, I'm at an LAPD station here in South Los Angeles, but I've been following this pursuit. I've been in touch with commanders at the LAPD, and let me take you back to how all of this started, which was in Hollywood just before 9:30 this morning. That female driver apparently was having an argument with her significant other, her boyfriend or husband, a man in that pickup, which, by the way, is stolen. And that is one of the many reasons that officers aren't just approaching that car. They don't know if this woman is armed. victim. They don't know who she is right now because, again, the car is stolen. That is a silver Toyota Tacoma pickup truck. Again, Hollywood and Vine, she's having an argument with this man, according to police. At one point, he gets out of the passenger seat, and police say she attempts to hit him with that pickup truck and does indeed hit him, most likely knocking him into the bed of the truck from which he then jumped out of. Now, police quickly arrived on the scene. This guy, the victim in all of this, did not want to be treated by paramedics. An ambulance was called, but she then, when police arrived, she just took off, and that's where the pursuit started. Hollywood and Vine, and those are Hollywood officers that you see surrounding her right now. Again, if you're just joining Good Day LA, we've been following this pursuit. We have Stu and Skyfox up above, have been following it all the way from Hollywood when that driver, she took Laurel Canyon, then jumped onto Mulholland and is now stopped on the 2300 block of Coldwater Canyon. An extremely tense situation. Officers don't know what condition she is. She is possibly under the influence, they suspect, of alcohol or drugs. But one important thing is they don't know if she is armed right now. They don't know what is in that stolen vehicle. She is facing felony hit and run charges in addition to most likely charges for stealing that Toyota Tacoma pickup, and even more once they get her out. So right now, commanders are at the scene. They are grouping together to see what is their next step. Of course, everybody hoping this will end peacefully. Meanwhile, there's a secondary scene, and that's back at Hollywood and Vine, where the original hit and run assault with a deadly weapon charge and this whole story starts.
Yeah, that's right. So the way you gave us these details, clearly this is going to take a while as far as an investigation is concerned, and what happens here as a result of this standoff. You're dealing with two separate scenes that police have to assess what exactly happened as they piece this together. But it does help us understand a little bit about what led us to this place and what emotional, mental, and physical state this individual is in now.
And right now, police officers with Hollywood Division, LAPD Hollywood Division, are at Hollywood and Vine, and they're interviewing their main witness, which in this case technically is the victim. He is somehow connected to her, either her boyfriend or her husband, her partner. They were having an argument. He got out of the car, and police say she hit him with the car. Now, his injuries reportedly are not serious. He refused to be transported by ambulance, but he is talking to police right now. And of course, they're trying to get as much information as they can. Unclear if he's being cooperative. Most often in situations like this, the other person is not cooperative when they know the suspect. They're not giving up a lot of information. One of the big things they want to know is, does she have a cell phone in that stolen pickup truck? That is one of the most important things, because if she does have a cell phone and they can get that number, crisis negotiators are going to be calling her. They're going to be trying to talk her down and, of course, talk her into giving up safely.
Yeah, and she wasn't giving up, Gigi, because even in the end of all this, when the spike strips were deployed, those tires were deflated, she still kept going, then wedged up against this property right here, surrounded by police officers. And even with them deploying the non-lethal rounds inside the vehicle, she was trying to basically reverse back into those cruisers and then also go forward to get out of the situation, not giving up. It was going on for quite some time. You could see those rear wheels spinning into trying to reverse into law enforcement. So that's just racking up the charges.
That's right. Right, and pit maneuvers are extremely dangerous in that they cause a driver to lose control, and you're on a canyon road where the edge just goes down the mountain there or goes into someone's home, and then traveling southbound, you had all that morning traffic. So pit maneuvers were very dangerous. They had to be thought out, and they had to only be used in moments that did not put anyone else in danger, and that's what you saw the LAPD, those Hollywood officers do. The pit maneuver, which did cause the car to lose control for a a bit. They did lay out several spike strips. She did hit one of those spike strips, eventually losing control. Her front two tires are flat, and the pit maneuver caused them. You saw her wobbling down the street right now. And another thing I can confirm, she does not live at that house. She just happened to lose control there in that driveway. You both were talking about how those tires were just wobbling left and right. And of course, a huge concern was she was going to crash into an innocent victim, all that traffic on the southbound side of the car. Again, police do believe she may be under the influence of drugs or alcohol. They don't know. Right now, they're working with her boyfriend, husband, trying to establish who she is, and that most important thing, does she have a cell phone in that stolen pickup truck that they can call her on, that those special mental health specialists, crisis negotiators can begin talking to her and convince her, hopefully, to give up safely.
Yes, thank you for actually clarifying that, because that is the question that people often have is, how do you communicate with someone in a situation like this? Well, first of all, they need to have a phone. Second of all, they will get that number, and then they start to speak to them. And these are trained professionals who often deal with circumstances like this. They get to know who they're dealing with and know the types of questions to ask and know the types of things to say to convince them to safely exit a situation like this. And so this is how we're seeing this standoff play out.
That's right. And oftentimes, family members will realize what's happening and they'll arrive at the scene. And family members are usually not allowed to approach a vehicle. It's simply too dangerous. But another technique that's often employed is that police will have a family member, a mother, a father, a sibling, a husband, record a message that will be played if that suspect does not have a cell phone. If they're not answering their cell phone, they don't want to communicate that way, they'll record some type of a message and they'll play that on a loudspeaker, and it'll be a familiar voice, a family member, a good friend, asking, begging that person to please give up safely because they don't want to see anybody get hurt. Of course, we don't know if any family members are on the way there. It'll be very difficult. And if you're just joining Good Day LA, you are watching the end of a pursuit, very slow speed pursuit that traveled from Hollywood, where it started, when the suspect inside that stolen pickup truck you see there to the right of your screen reportedly tried to hit her boyfriend with that pickup truck. So she's now facing assault with a deadly weapon charges. That boyfriend now at Hollywood and Vine with police being interviewed as they try to get more information about her. She then led police on a very slow speed pursuit. At times, even though her car was not disabled, that stolen pickup, she was doing only 5 miles an hour, which is a thankful thing because you don't want someone racing up down those canyons. We're talking about Laurel Canyon, Mulholland, and eventually ending here on Coldwater. And if you're just joining us, Coldwater is closed right now in both directions, south and north, so you'll definitely want to take an alternate route if you're trying to head from the valley into Hollywood or vice versa.
It certainly is a dramatic standoff because it's just the waiting game that no one knows when will be over, right, Gigi? And a lot of times you see a driver will give up at this point knowing that they're all surrounded and that police officers are probably talking to her, at least giving her some orders. But in this case, she's definitely dug in and not listening to anyone to get out. So clearly, though, officers are trained in all of this, and they use time as an asset and a tool. In their case, they have all the time in the world to make sure this resolution comes to a peaceful end.
That's right. They're most likely using their loudspeakers. I don't know if we want to bring in Stu Mundell. I don't know, from the chopper with all the noise. And of course, you've got that police chopper, if you could possibly even hear something. But most likely they are using their loudspeakers, asking her, telling her, ordering her, going from everything to please to making it an order for her to come out. And she is not coming out. We are trying to check and see if they are in communication with her, if she does have a cell phone in that stolen pickup truck.
But speaking about the mental state, and we never know their mental, emotional state when we cover things like this, but the fact that when she initially got wedged up in that position right there in that vehicle, the fact that the tires were spinning in reverse, trying to back up into law enforcement, it's something we didn't see or we haven't seen in quite some time. So clearly giving you a window into the aspect of the fact that she didn't care. She wanted to get out of that situation, so much so that she was willing to back into law enforcement. Thankfully, the truck was so disabled, nothing happened, and it didn't move or crash into those cruisers there, but clearly a sign that she was dug in and she wasn't going to give up.
That's right. And, you know, Stu mentioned earlier that this could be a case where she was very emotional, and obviously emotions were running high. She was having an argument. Police will tell you that domestic violence incidents are some of the most dangerous that police can respond to because emotions run so high. We have seen police officers multiple times actually get shot or injured, even killed, responding to a domestic violence incident because people are so worked up. They are so emotional. So these situations are handled with the utmost of caution now that they know that this started as a domestic violence incident, an argument between a couple in Hollywood that escalated when this man, her boyfriend, husband, again, significant other, got out of that pickup truck, which is stolen, and she hit him with it, according to police. So she is facing multiple felony charges this morning, starting with assault with a deadly weapon, failing to yield, the police pursuit, etc.
We are getting close right now to approach the 11 o'clock hour. We've been on this for an hour, a solid hour pretty much. Let's just get everyone up to speed. Those who are just joining us, the reason this has dominated our coverage this morning is because it is quite an unusual situation. And, you know, at the time we were dealing with a pursuit-like circumstance. Now it's a standoff, and it was putting other people in danger.